Hi, it's Mel and welcome to my channel. Guess what time it is? Yeah, it's already that time. The holidays are coming up upon us really fast. It's already October, and so I just wanted to show my Journal Your Christmas that I did from Chamel's Journal Your Christmas. And I showed my 2009 one, which was the first journal that I did, and then I'm going to be showing each one subsequently. And I thought this is the perfect time of year to get started. So here's the 2010 journal, and I'm going to be showing you and just flipping through each page and showing you what I've done. Hopefully I'll give some of you some inspiration or ideas for your December dailies and Journal Your Christmases, and I can't wait to show you. So let's get started. So here's the album that I made for the 2010 Journal Your Christmas, my second year doing it. And for the album, I decided to make my own. And I just went online, printed up some templates that you see there, and I traced them out around the flimsy chipboard that you get in online orders, cut it out, and then I wrapped it front and back in unbleached muslin fabric that I already owned. I inked the edges, and then I went around that mat and inked with the ink stamp that I had already. I took some ribbon from my stash and I wrapped it around the left-hand side there and then tied it with a little red button. And you can see on the inside here that when I put the muslin fabric over it, I just made it very slightly smaller so that when I glued it together, nothing showed on the outside and that it just went up against and butted up against each other nice and neat. To hold the album together, I used sewing grommets. I used 3 of them, and I decided to only use 2 large book rings instead of 3 because I felt like when I opened and closed the album that it just was a little too bulky and didn't move as easily. So I just went with the 2, and that's the reason you don't see the one in the middle. I didn't do any extra embellishing on the back. I just have the 3 grommets and just the plain muslin. Right there next to the little button and the little ribbons, I put a little charm there. It's just a little old-fashioned key, and I just used it as some extra interest. For the title, I went with the year, and I just used some chipboard from my stash that I inked to give it that pop that needed on the page. I cut out the word Christmas with my cutter, and then I used some stickles over the top of it to give it that sparkly look. On the bottom, I used the word journey, and I just used some stickers that had been given to me as a gift. And they've kind of curled up, but it can always be fixed with some extra adhesive. You can see there how they're just kind of curling up a little bit. So here in the left-hand corner, you see my little font there, and that was done using my old Quick Cuts machine using the Maggie font, and that was from a really long time ago. Okay, now we're going to start on the inside pages, and you can see here I've used some Christmas colors, and I just want to point out that most of the papers that I used on this were scraps that I had. And I know that red and white paper, I don't even believe that was Christmas paper. And so most of it, I don't even know who the manufacturers were. And keep in mind, this was in 2010. Now that little question mark there is a Tim Holtz grunge board piece. And what I did was I just took some glitter and I glued some gold glitter on it. And the question mark has to do with the prompt for that day, which the prompt was what Chamel calls her manifesto. And the manifesto is basically the reason why you're doing this journal. And so I felt like a question mark was appropriate for that. I'm just going to point out now that I've used stitching on every page. I used my sewing machine, which was a really nice sewing machine on fabric, but not so much on paper. And therefore it kind of gives it that shabby chic look to it. And that's fine because that was the look I was going for with the album. So you'll notice my sewing isn't even and the stitches aren't even, and that's okay. Now I do know the manufacturer for that Christmas paper there in the middle, and that was by Flair Designs, and I believe that was just open stock paper that I found at one of the big box stores. For my prompt date, I decided to use this stamp that I had from my stash, and it says official record of, and it says December 1st. And for the 1st, instead of writing it in there, I went ahead and used my label maker, and it just makes it pop. And then I just hand wrote in the month, which of course was December. Now for the ink, I used some black embossing powder around it, and I did this design on every page for the month. And then I just went ahead and cut out a square around that circle and just did some pen lining around it. Now, I've considered to do a December daily, but the reason I continue to do the JYC is because of that prompt that Shamel has, like you see at the top there. The prompts, she has a different prompt every day, but they're not necessarily about what's happening on that particular day. The dates actually reflect the prompts for that day and not the actual date, although some could. I felt like with the December daily that I wouldn't be able to do a picture every day or a journal every day, and I could see it leading to stressing me out over that, so that's why I'm not doing it. But I think they're both great ideas, and I think that you can incorporate both into one journal. Now, if you saw a little red embellishment ornament peeking through the front of the album cover, that was an embellishment that was supposed to go on the left-hand top of this page. Just thought I would point that out. It came loose, and I will go ahead and adhere it after the video is completed. Here's my manifesto journaling. It's my favorite time of year again, Christmas time. Woohoo! For the second year in a row, I'll be doing this special Christmas album called Journal My Christmas. I want to do something fun and creative that will allow me to relax and enjoy the season, as well as maybe take some special time to think about things instead of running around like crazy. Even though we may not be having guests this year, there are still many things and people to enjoy and appreciate. This album ups the excitement and is something to look forward to every day. In the midst of everything, I do want to remember what this time of year is all about, the birth of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Let the season begin. So I decided to go with double page layout here using craft paper I picked up in a package at Hobby Lobby. And the pages are approximately 8.5 by 5.5 per each page, and then I just glued them back to each other. So this prompt date was winter weather, and the prompt is December 2nd. The title is a quick cut font that I had called the Stiletto Skinny Mini, and I dry embossed a piece of white cardstock with a Cuttlebug snowflake template. And I like to use snowflakes kind of as a universal symbol for winter, even though it doesn't snow here. Over the top of the puffed up piece of the snowflakes, I used a smooch pearlized top coat over it, which you can't see from the picture, but it does give it a nice shimmer. It's really hard to tell. Now, I did pictures of the winter weather that we were having so far this year, and you can see there my front yard, the tree, and the flowers, the hibiscus. Now over here on the right hand side, I use that brown snowflake paper. It could be by Echo Park, I'm not sure on that. For the die cuts, I used my craft robo, and I made the palm tree, the cactus, and again the universal snowflake die cuts. For the cactus, I just used some embroidery floss for the thorns, and once again I used that smooch on the snowflakes to give it a bit of shimmery, and then I did some inking on them. I chose to do a theme about the weather on the actual day of the prompt in my city, and so I just went online and found some information about the temperature, moisture, wind, that sort of thing. And then you see on the bottom right, I have a stamp here for my journaling, and it's just a stamp for my stash. And I wrote, "It only snows here about once every 60 years. The last time was in 2004, so I guess we'll have to wait for 54 more years." And so now we're on day 4, and the prompt was about Christmas greetings. And so what I decided to do was journal about my cards. And so what I did was, you can see there on the left, I made a pocket that looks like a Christmas card envelope, and then I put my journaling inside where I could tuck it in where that ribbon was, and then there at the top I made it open so I could stick some cards in there or some greetings if I so chose to. And then I can just take this journaling piece out and put it back in as needed to read it. And on the right hand side there, I just used some stash that was some chipboard for my title, and I also used some of my smooch over the top of that. Now on the right hand side there, you see a picture of an ornament, and that I used one of my actual cards and scanned it and then printed it out on photo paper. And then next to it, I just printed out what the inside sentiment was and put it on cardstock and adhered it to my page and then tied it with a ribbon. Now my journaling actually contains a handy tip, and I wrote, last year after Christmas, I purchased cards on discount for this year. I've scanned a photo of the card and wrote the sentiment that's inside. There will be a few handmade cards sent as well. A really cool thing I did last year was to make up an address list in Excel for everyone on my Christmas card list. I then printed off the list and stuck it in the Christmas storage box with the cards for this year. I'm so glad I did. It will make it a snap to address, not to mention that I lost the list from last year in a computer crash, so I'm thankful to have a hard copy. Now we're on day 4, and the prompt was about perfection, and this is my take on it. I wrote, it's a wonderful life, and then underneath I put 6 reasons why. And that title was made with the Tim Holtz Grunge Board 6. The reasons was made with my Sizzix, and the Y was with my Craft Robo. Now on the right hand side there I have 6 pictures, and those are the reasons why it's a wonderful life. And at the top left is a picture of me in my jammies with my puppy dog, my husband there being helpful with the ladder, my kitty under the tree. I have my door all decorated outside, my beagle being cooperative with the Santa hat on, and my son helping put up the tree in the game room. On the left is all those reasons why spelled out. Again, me in my comfortable jammies with my puppy, helpful hubby, kitty enjoying her first Christmas season with us, finished outside decorations, cooperative beagle, and teenagers still enjoying Christmas decorating. We're on to day 5 now, and this was one of my favorite ideas. The prompt for this day was about the Christmas countdown, and I chose to reflect on the calendar this time. But what I did was, you see that overlay right there? I took a blank overlay and I printed it out with the countdown from the 1st through the 25th. And then I just used different fonts on it. And I sewed it at the top so it could be lifted up in order to see the underneath part of it. Underneath the overlay is my journaling, and on the left hand side I have a library card pocket that I already own, and I just used some walnut ink stain on it, and then I just put December 5th 2010 checklist so far, and then I just had a few items on there. Now this was not only for Christmas stuff, but just for monthly appointments and such as well. Now for my journaling block, I just put 20-day countdown, 5 days already into December, and then underneath I just wrote a list of different things that I've done, like scanned a copy of my actual December calendar, printed it out, and so now I can see events and appointments and so on and so forth. On the right there is an actual scan of my calendar that December, and I just printed it onto photo paper, and so I could just see everything laid out, and it has all my appointments and different items going on there. And then I had a circle on the actual day of this prompt. I had a little pre-made tag that I dipped in the walnut ink, and I always dry it in the oven on 200, and that seems to just take a few minutes so I don't have to wait. And I just put Christmas countdown in stamps, put a little sparkly ribbon on it, and then used a ribbon slider for the top. We're now on to day 6, and the prompt is a tale of 2 Christmases. And so I chose to do a tale of 2 Christmases past, and on the left hand side there I loved doing that overlay so much that I did it again. And what I did was I chose to do it about my kids' first Christmases. And so on the right hand side there I have a little pocket, and next to the kids' pictures I have pictures of them, my daughter at the bottom with her brother for her first Christmas, and my son at the top with his dad, and I believe that was on Christmas Eve. And so the little pocket was made using my Colossal template, and I have these little handmade tags that I did some journaling on, and then I have pictures of the kids there. I journaled on each child's card there, and for my daughter I basically just talked about how she was just 7 weeks old and she had no idea what was going on, but how I enjoyed still buying her gifts of clothes and such, and about who got a visit with her. And then for my son, I talked about his first Christmas and how his dad had to work 200 miles away, so he wasn't there on actual Christmas Day, but he spent the day before, and my son still got to spend it with extended family, and what an enjoyable time that it was. The journaling talks about how I don't really have bad Christmas memories, and even though there might be family members no longer with us, and sometimes how my husband had to work, that due to the nature of his job, we just roll with it. It doesn't bother us. We just work around it. And about how, no, we don't have Norman Rockwell Christmases, although I would love it if we did, but the mishaps actually make for better memories, and we can laugh about them later and wouldn't trade them for anything. And everything seems to work out just right in spite of ourselves. Here we are on day 7, and the prompt was getting organized. And so my title reads, Making a List, Checking It Twice. And I made that using my craft robo. I printed out my priorities, and then above that I have a picture of my family, my husband and my 2 kids, who are my priorities. And this list is mostly about them. I used embellishments on both sides that I already had in my stash. Now you can see there I have a little Starbucks coffee embellishment, and that was used using an actual coffee cup, because what trip out Christmas shopping would be complete without a trip to Starbucks? The pocket there was done using a Sizzix pocket die that I already had, and then on the inside I made it my own tags, and I just embellished them with little Christmas tree brads and ribbon that I already own. Each tag was stamped at the top with an alphabet stamp, and you see here I stamped my daughter's name, and then underneath I just had one of those dollar stamps that had a list, and so I wrote a list of different Christmas items that I wanted to get her. The same with my son. The same with my husband, and then I have one stamped others that were for other family members, some friends, our pets, and things like that. Now on day 8, the prompt is, do you see what I see? And it's about using pictures for what we are seeing at this time in the world going on around us. My title is, It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas, and I did that using the craft robo. On the left-hand side, that top left picture is a picture of my neighborhood from the roof of my house when I was putting up Christmas lights. The middle picture is a picture of my Christmas village, and that right-hand picture is a picture of our house all lit up at night. Now the one on the left is my puppy golden retriever that year in his ho-ho hat, and no, he was not very cooperative. Then I had my Christmas tree, and then the beagle in his ho-ho hat there on the right. Now on the right hand side page, I chose to do a full-length picture of my Christmas tree, all lit up in all its glory in the living room, all 12 feet of it. And then I have a picture of the game room tree going up in the game room. It wasn't finished at that time. And then a picture of my kitty cat in her little ho-ho hat. And so far those were the pictures I had that I wanted to show, Christmassy pictures in the world going on around me. Now day 9, I didn't use very many embellishments because it's mostly about pictures and journaling, but I was excited to get to use this cute little reindeer embellishment that I've been hoarding for years and years. And so I thought that made a really neat embellishment on the page. For the journaling, I mostly journaled about how every Christmas is a little bit different, and based on, how we don't live near family anymore and things change, kids get older, work habits change, but we still keep some traditional elements, and I just went through that list. And then on the right hand side I have some pictures to back up my journaling, and so that's basically what the journaling's about. On the right hand side, the traditions I use, that first one is about our tradition of going to Christmas Eve service at church, and we try to do that wherever we live as long as it doesn't interfere with work. And then the middle one is just a picture of me and my daughter all dressed up, and then the right hand is about how we always have Chinese takeout on Christmas Eve. The next 2 pictures are pictures of my kids opening up the jammies they receive every Christmas Eve. And then the one there on the right is pictures of the neighbors' Christmas lights to represent us going around neighborhoods and looking at the Christmas tree lights. And then the one on the bottom is just a walk around the neighborhood, which isn't always a tradition, but we do try to make it a tradition every now and then. And then the last one there is about the Christmas movies that we watch. And this one happens to be It's a Wonderful Life, but of course we always have to watch A Christmas Story on Christmas Eve, and so that represents that. So for day 10, the prompt is about gift wrap, and my title says wrap it up, and I did it in hand with an ink pen, and I just did a little bit of embellishing there in the left hand corner and on the right hand bottom using some ribbon and a few different epoxy stickers. On the right hand side, the picture I chose is a photo of the gifts already wrapped up in the gift wrap that I used that season. And then on the right hand side, I chose a couple of photos of the gift wrapping still wrapped around the rolls that they came on. The journaling reads, a couple of years ago I purchased this wrapping paper bag after Christmas. I love it. I can fit a lot of rolls in it as well as ribbons and bows and tags, etc. It's the perfect solution for storage and can be put under the bed, in the attic or closet without taking up much space, but it is easy to get to. And just as an aside, I still use it to this day. I still love it. It's the perfect storage solution for me. We are on day 11 now, and the prompt is about the Christmas tree. And since I've already shown pictures of my main living room tree, I decided to focus on some other trees. And so on the left-hand side there, it shows a picture of the game room tree and some of the ornaments, and that's the kids' tree. And the journaling basically talks about how ever since we moved to a home with a family room plus a living room, that we've given the kids their own tree for the family room for decoration. And so here, the previous year, my parents brought down their tree and gave it to us so that the kids could decorate it as their game room tree. Now here on the right hand side, I chose to journal about the little trees there that you see, the tabletop trees, and how I used them for the small ornament gifts. And so at the top, the journaling reads, last year I decided I wanted only a themed uniform look to my tree without adding the specialty ornaments. I still have them and they bring back memories, so I bought 2 vintage looking aqua aluminum table topper trees and decorated them with our special ornaments collected over the years. Now we are on to day 12, almost halfway to Christmas, and for this day the prompt is about Christmas today. So actually it is about this particular day. And so what I did was there on the left hand side, I made this little pocket and it holds the little journaling card there. Now for the embellishments, I just cut a little circle and made it into a little tag, used a candy cane brad, and then for the snowflake, that's just a quick cut die. Now this layout will make sense with the journaling, and so I'm going to go ahead and read the journaling, which reads, Christmas today. What a weekend this has turned out to be. On Friday, I woke up to the beginnings of a sore throat and it just got worse from there. I wound up staying in bed Friday, even all day Saturday and partially Sunday. Chad came home with a sore throat on Friday and took off a couple of hours early on Saturday. He was miserable too. That afternoon and evening was the first time ever that we spent in bed sick together. We were pathetic. Made the kids keep their cell phones handy so we could text them with requests. On Sunday the 12th, I was supposed to go to the family's Christmas party, but although I was feeling much better, didn't quite feel up to it that afternoon. Chad took off sick that day. I had a birthday going away party for a friend that night, and I decided to go ahead and go since I had rested up all day. I'm glad I did. I had a really nice time, and it was just the thing to bring me out of the fog I'd been in. So over on the right hand page, I have a picture of 2 dish towels that I had knitted, and the journaling reads, I wanted to knit some dishcloths for our moms just because I have learned how to knit this past year, and it's what my skill level is. I didn't think I was going to be able to find the time, but because I was sick in bed, I was able to get going on these from start to finish while I laid up in bed watching TV. So for December 13th, the prompt is about Christmas music, and I went ahead with the overlay theme again. I loved it so much. Here I go again. And at the top, I put I, heart, and then I have a music note, and then to the right, I put Christmas. So basically, it's I Heart Christmas and with some music notes. And then it says music. Now, for the backgrounds, I printed out some sheet music. One says Oh Holy Night on the left, and over the top overlay, I just put 4 songs that are some of my favorites. I have a lot of favorites. It says Silver Bells, O Little Town of Bethlehem, I Saw Daddy Kissing Santa Claus, and Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree. Over here on the right, the Christmas sheet music is O Little Town of Bethlehem, and then on the overlay I have Mary Did You Know, Santa Baby, Winter Wonderland, and Oh Holy Night. The prompt for day 14 was A Tale of Christmas Presents, so it's about the gifts. And for the title, I put Just What I Always Wanted. And I did that with my craft robo. And the title comes from a family inside joke for my family, and that's all I'm going to say on that. For the pocket, I just sewed just a plain strip of pattern paper, and then that tag was a tag someone made for me, and I put the journaling on the back of that tag you saw earlier. Now over here on the right hand side, I have a picture of us after we open the presents, since I did this page after Christmas, and I put the aftermath. So this is a great reason why you can do some stuff after Christmas is over. You can use some of those pictures. Now for the journaling, I wrote, we don't have a present opening tradition per se. I guess it just depends on if it's just us four or if there are others joining us on Christmas. Usually it's just us four. Both kids usually play Santa and pass out a few gifts at a time. Only a couple of us open at a time so we can see what the others are opening up. If there are more people joining us, then we usually open up a few at a time to keep things moving. I remember a few crazy years when there were so many people at my parents' gathering that everyone just ripped through presents and we missed much of what others got, as well as seeing them open what we got them. I remember one year in particular that it was bad, and we all agreed we didn't want to do it that way again. We're now on to day 15, and this prompt was about visitors. And since I didn't have any visitors this year, I decided to do a cookie exchange where I was the visitor at somebody's house. And so on the left-hand side, I just have a picture of the gathering there for the cookie exchange at my friend's house. And I just put cookie exchange, and I did it in a stamp with some alphabet stamps that I already owned. On the right-hand side, I have several pictures of the goodies. And up there in the left-hand corner is just some pictures of someone's fudge. In the middle are doggy cookies I made. On the right-hand side, it says some of the treats. And then on the bottom left-hand side, it's my cookies. In the middle, it has kisses. And then on the right-hand side, it says lemon cake and pumpkin spice cookies. And so I made the kisses with peanut butter, the lemon cake cookies, and the pumpkin spice cookies, as well as the doggy cookies, which are a big hit. I've been to several of these cookie exchanges, and everyone always asks about the doggy cookies. For the journaling, I used one of my journaling stamps, and I just put, no visitors at my house this year. I was the guest. On the 17th, I went to a cookie exchange and then I put the person's whose house it was. And with that, this is the end of my 2010 Journal Your Christmas. You can see the next pages are blank. I had meant to finish this off and I never did, but I actually feel like it is complete. If I ever want to go back, I saved all the prompts every year. I can go back and add some more pages, but at this point, I really feel like I get what happened at that Christmas. I have pictures, a little bit of everything, a little bit of journaling about everything, and so I'm actually satisfied with it. And I hope you've enjoyed looking at my JYC, and I hope to see you again with the next one. Until then, talk to you later.